26 signed up.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to get started in a few minutes. We're just going to give everyone else a few more seconds to get signed on here. So thank you for your patience. All right, thank you for your patience. We're going to go ahead and get started with the webinar. I want to thank you guys for attending. Welcome to Petrosoft's weekly webinar series. We're presenting this series to consumers inside and outside of the industry. And for today's topic, we're going over managing inventory, conducting physical inventory and cycle counts. And allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mike McDavid, and I'm a trainer and a business consultant for Petrosoft. My experience as a trainer comes from over a decade in the retail industry, and applying these skills has led me to onboard many customer accounts and contributed to their success and growth. For today's agenda, we'll be taking a look at some important inventory questions to ask yourself. We'll also be reviewing the importance of inventory counts. And finally, we'll take a look at some of the best practices to apply when performing an inventory. So to the right here is a little image depicting the ideal cycle for a standard inventory process. We recommend starting at finding the errors, then moving into researching them, identifying the possible causes, eliminating them, and then retraining the staff if necessary. And you notice this cycle just keeps on going and going. So I'd like to hear from you guys. I'd like to poll the audience on your current inventory practices. So on your screen, you should see the question, how do you currently keep track of your inventory? If you could just please select one, the options being C-Store Office, a back office system other than CSO, Microsoft Excel, pen and paper, or not at all. We'll just take a few minutes while everyone answers. All right, looks like everyone has gotten a chance to answer. And I'm just going to share these results real quick. So it looks like half of you are using a back office provider other than C-Store Office, with the rest using either CSO or pen and paper, and then some of you not at all. All right, and thank you for taking the time to answer this for me. All right, so there are some important questions you want to ask when you are conducting inventories. Are you tracking items on the category or item level? Are you tracking your shrink and spoilage on a daily basis? How often are you reconciling your inventory counts, if at all? Are you doing it weekly, monthly, quarterly? And are you tracking how accurately items are being scanned at your register, or when they are just entered in by department? With CSO, you're able to track items sold in your stores down to the item level versus direct department sales. This allows you to see targeted, exact item movement on a daily basis. And lastly, you want to ask yourself if your staff is trained to find invoice and delivery errors upon arrival. What is your check-in process with deliveries, and how are your deliveries being added to your book inventory? So let's now take a look at some statistics regarding shrink from the past year. Taken from a national security survey conducted by the NRF, shrink hit an all-time record high of $48.9 billion in 2017. Surprisingly, however, over 20% of that was due to administrative error, which was a 5% increase from 2016. So a large portion of items are not just growing legs and walking away. So then we have to ask ourselves, why are inventory counts so important? Well, they help control through cycle counts, shrinkage, and spoilage. They help mitigate POS scanning errors. They also assist in vendor picking, delivery, or documentation errors. It allows you to reduce retailer data entry errors, including inter-stock transfers. and allows for changes in demand for inventory, such as taking into account overstocks and out of stocks. So what are our best practices for a successful inventory count? Well, we break it down into 3 steps. The first being preparation. It's always good to have a plan. So you want to start an inventory when, pick a day when your inventory is at its lowest. And then you want to decide who is doing your inventory. Do you have an internal team or do you have an outside third-party company? So on your screens now, you should see a little poll for the audience. I just want to know if you guys are using third parties for your inventory counts or not. You just take a couple seconds here and let me know. All right, looks like everybody's in. I'm going to close the polls out and share the results. All right, looks like 60% of you are using a third-party company, and the rest are either not using a third-party company or not doing inventories at all. Well, CSO works with many national and local third-party companies to get your inventory results immediately after the count is done. And I'd like to follow up here. For those that are already doing inventory counts, how many of you are doing them on a category or item level? So if you could just take a few seconds and let me know how you're conducting your inventories. All right, that was fast. All right, let me see here. I'm going to close out the polls and share the results. And that's right down the middle, 50-50 split. So half of you guys are doing category level and half are doing item level. All right. Well, that decision weighs into your preparation as well. So you'd like to discuss the order of how you're going to be counting things. We recommend creating a diagram of your store. It doesn't have to be anything super invasive. And then also prepare and place count cards as you're going through your store counting. We recommend grouping like products together, and then even arranging UPCs to be in the inventory counter's line of sight. Another good trick is to use cardboard inserts in dump bins to separate like products for easier counting. So once you have your plan in place, it's time to execute. We recommend closing a shift right before the inventory count has begun. Open a new shift, and then count each section one at a time. Place each count card in the section to flag that the area has been counted. And you can use handheld scanners for the inventory count and sync the handheld after each section is counted, or make sure the third-party inventory company is staying on task and being accurate. Then, when all the items have been counted in your store, you want to close the shift and prepare for your reconciliation. And this is where C-Store Office comes into play as your inventory reconciliation solution. Using our software, you're able to print out the items missed the minute a missed items report the minute an inventory is uploaded. You're then able to see items that may have been missed by the counter or the inventory company and adjust the numbers accordingly. You can then review, discuss, and acknowledge inventory discrepancies. And using the full range of CSO reporting, you can see overshorts down to the item level. This process definitely helps you find, research, identify, and eliminate the cause or causes of the errors. What's great about C-Store Office's reporting is that you can use these as a jumping off point to continue your research and then retrain the staff to avoid future errors. So speaking to reporting, I'm going to show you a couple examples of some of my favorite reports and those that are really beneficial to the inventory process. While CSO is capable of generating close to 300 reports, that is a lot to sort through. That is a lot of information that the system can produce. So we do have a favorites tab sectioned off where you can add these reports. So anytime you go into the reports section, your favorites appear and you don't have to sort through all 300 reports. We even make inventory information available from the homepage. The minute you log in to C-Store Office, if you come down to your key performance indicators, about halfway down the page, click on that blue bar and you'll get a list of all your locations if you have multiple in your account, a comparison of your fuel sales from last year to this, your store sales, your store GPM, and the date of your last inventory and any overshorts that have come from that inventory. We also have the store GPM report, which gives you a full view of your store's gross profit margins broken down by category over a period of time. This is a long report, so we have it broken off into 2 separate slides here. So the chart here, this report was run for a year's time, and the GPM is shown from June 30th of 2017 all the way to current. You can see track the progress of the overall store GPM, and then to the right we have GPMs broken down by category. And another one of my absolute favorite reports is the stock movement report, or is what we call in the office the dead items report. So you can see individual item sales for the past 30 days compared to how many you have on hand, provided you're performing item level inventory counts. This comparison generates an item's performance, and you can see if the money is just sitting on the shelves. So for example, this item here, it's not doing too well, sitting at 3% performance, and you've got $29 just sitting. You're losing $29 here. So what I can do with this report, I can further dig in and access my purchase not sold report. And this will help me forecast my purchases as well. You can see what has been purchased on invoices, but also this report shows you no sales from the register. For instance, this blueberry yogurt here has no record of being sold at this location, but I noticed that it is scanning at other locations. So after doing a couple of comparisons, I'm going to generate a merchandise transfer from one station to another. What this seamlessly does is remove the items from my inventory in C-Store, my book inventory from one location, and transfers it to another. The receiving store gets the merchandise transfer as an invoice. The manager has to just accept it and also receive the delivery, however it's going from store to store, and go about their day. So using C-Store Office, you're able to create and manage your items very quickly and efficiently. All right. So now I'd like to take a few moments and open up the floor for any questions. But first, I'd like to review a few questions that were submitted when people signed up for this webinar. So the first question comes from Christy. She asked if the program keeps track of lottery tickets by serial number or just PLU. Well, we certainly can keep track of your lottery tickets by serial number and UPC using the C-Store Office lottery module. On your screens now, I'm showing you an example of our company-owned account. We own and operate 20 stores around the Pittsburgh area in Pennsylvania. And this account maintains their lottery by UPC and serial number, and they're able to reconcile their tickets sold throughout each shift. As long as the account page is set up correctly and it's maintained daily, you will be able to track your lottery inventory. And Anna also had a question. Can you see more categories than what is shown on a report, or more than categories? Upon clarification, she was asking if you can see reports based on the item level. You absolutely can. We have a wide range of reports based on item sales and item purchases, and we also have category level reporting, which is the highest architecture or structure for your price book, and going down from there. So if you guys have any questions, I'd like to address those. So I want to hear from you. Just go ahead and put in some questions into the chat box, and give you guys a few minutes to enter those in. All right, so I've got a question from Tad. Is there a daily report for items transferred between locations? There absolutely is. The purchase report will show you, excuse me, on your pending invoices report that's checked on a daily basis by the managers, you'll be able to see what has come in, and it will be listed as a merchandise addition or a merchandise transfer, excuse me. If you'd like, I will follow up with exact documentation of where you can find that and what it would look like. All right. And George would like to know what the reconciliation process looks like briefly on item level. All right, so I'm going to go a little rogue here, so forgive me. So on your guys' screen, this is C-Store Office. I'm going to jump into my cycle count tickets, which is where you're going to find any file that has been scanned in on an audit. Now, regardless of how this comes in, either by use of the Cipher Labs 9700 handhelds or manually or by an inventory company, once they're uploaded into the system, they will all find their way to cycle count tickets. And thank you for bearing with me with this Wi-Fi. I am in a little bit of a secluded room here. So once you have the pending cycle count tickets, you'll see here that these two have been uploaded by Pit Inventory, which is our company-owned third-party company that we use. Selecting any one of those pending tickets, all right. So from a very high level, I'll try and keep this brief, minus these notifications here. This is the cycle count ticket that has been uploaded into the system. You're able to verify the physical on-hand quantities that you counted or that were counted by your inventory company. And then it's just a matter of reviewing them, applying the count to a shift, and clicking process. After a few moments, missed items report will generate, and then it will take you into the item shortage report after that, where you're able to view overshorts. And if you're doing item level inventory, you're able to see overshorts down to an item level, meaning you can see variations if you're short 2 packs of Marlboro Reds versus being over 2 packs of Marlboro Red 100s. We could probably figure out that these items were just swapped out in a transaction. All right. Back here. All right, thanks for that, George. All right, I've got a question here from Amber. When starting to attempt to do inventory for the first time with CSO, would you suggest doing it by a single category just to get familiar with how it works? Amber, one follow-up question. Are you going to be generating manual cycle count tickets, or are you doing this with your handheld? All right, Amber, you're going to be doing it with your handheld. Unless you have everything in your store organized by category, I would suggest going in by sections if you have your handheld. But definitely sectioning things off and uploading them one at a time, then you can merge the cycle count tickets. Doing it by category would just be a little challenging unless you definitely know that all of your soda is in one spot and you could do it that way. Is that what you were looking for? And it says, well, like department. Okay, if you wanted to just do your tobacco, for instance, then yes, you can count everything in the tobacco category and process the pending or the cycle count ticket that way. You just have to process it as a partial, not a full inventory, and it'll update those on-hand quantities. We do have a couple customers that do rolling inventories throughout the month. So over time, throughout the month, once a week, they'll do one category here, one aisle here, however they do it, and then they'll get an idea at the end of the month going into their full store audit what the numbers should be like. So it just provides more accuracy and gives the account owners more peace of mind. All right, thank you guys for the good questions. Anybody else have any questions? All right, we have another question here from Ted. He's asking, what is the best report to identify items with a high rate of shrinkage? I'm assuming you mean over a period of time. We definitely have a few reports, Ted. If you'd like, I can get you that information after we go offline here. There's a couple different ones and different parameters you can set up, so I'll get into that detail with you after the webinar. Is that all right with you? All right, sounds good. Thank you. All right, any other questions from anyone? All right, and we have another one here from Tad. How often do you reconcile the tobacco category? Well, I would honestly count my tobacco daily. We have what's called items group reconciliation. What that is able to do is provide a count sheet for the managers and basically allow them to track their daily totals. It does not affect your book inventory. It just is a count sheet. but it does show you over shorts based on the information that's provided. It tracks purchases, spoilage, the works. And if you're looking to actually update your on-hand quantities, what's nice about C-Storage, you can kind of call the shots on that one. So if you notice that on the monthly basis, your tobacco category is all over the place, maybe start reconciling once every 2 weeks, or if a particular store is having more issues than another, try once a week at that location. But we do have the option to, narrow it down. But I would say weekly if there's a problem, but monthly to start. But definitely have the managers use the items group reconciliation. Again, that's a daily count sheet, and it's found in the manager's daily workflow, so they should be encountering that every day. They're doing their paperwork, reconciling their shifts. So if they don't use that, then it'll become as more of a surprise when the inventory time happens and they're short all sorts of cigarettes. All right, any questions from anyone else? All right, well, since we are nearing the half-hour mark, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to reach out at Denise Nixon at d.nixon@petrosoftinc.com. Oh, sorry, Ted, one last question. I'll get to that. So what's the best practice for spoilage on food programs to account for it on inventory? So the best practice for spoiling out your food, want to make sure that you have PLUs assigned to all of your food items, if they're, like deli sandwiches and that sort of thing. And if you are using the spoilage module, which is again found in inventory, which is found in the manager's daily workflow, best practice is getting rid of, writing those items off or spoiling them off on a daily basis. I've heard of hundreds of different ways to keep track of it at the store level, from just keeping a spoiled item in a bin behind the register, to keeping a log sheet, making sure a set of eyes, our manager's eyes, are authorizing that item to be spoiled. However you decide to do that's up to you, but as long as you are tracking those items by UPC or PLU, you can enter them in spoilage and it will remove those items from your inventory. All of our inventory reports take spoilage into account as well, and invoicing as well. So if you are keeping up on that spoilage, those items will be removed from your inventory, no problem. And thank you for the spoilage question there. All right. So if you guys do have any other questions, reach out to Denise at dnixon@petrosoftinc.com, or if you would like to request a copy of today's webinar, shoot an email over to Denise. And if you'd like a demo of C-Store Office, just go ahead and give her a call at area code 412-306-0640, and her extension is 2141. And we'll be following up with any offline questions that we needed to address. And we'll see you next time, guys. Thank you for attending, and best of luck to you.